Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Saturday college basketball action. This is going to be Preston's video best bet of the week, and we're going to look at a big one in the Big West. It's Hawaii at Cal Irvine. These two teams are battling for the top spot. Hawaii, they've been sitting on the top spot all year long, and guys, we kind of got a glimpse of Hawaii that they were going to be a little bit better than average this year early on in November and December when they gave some teams some pretty good showings. They played and beat Nevada, Northern Iowa, Auburn, and they took Oklahoma to the limit. And when you see these smaller schools go ahead and go out of conference, that's what I love about college basketball, play some tougher teams, I think it sets them up for conference play. They're a little bit more tougher. And then if they do manage to get through the conference and go on to the big dance, gives them a little bit of exposure and experience outside the conference for later in the season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's something that we get in college basketball we don't get in college football. You see the opposite where teams like in the SEC are trying to play as many cupcakes as they possibly can because they know one loss might cost them a shot at a national title. And so definitely have to give Hawaii credit for doing that. And especially, in a long season, all you're trying to do is win the conference, and some of these smaller schools or smaller conferences to have that shot at the tournament in March. So, it doesn't hurt ever to have that experience or that, leading up to conference play.
And also, to be fair, in college basketball, you're playing over 30 games, and in college football, you're playing 12. So you've got to be able to space it out a little bit. But, yeah, it's great when teams go out and look really good before conference play starts. But if you don't look good in conference play and then you happen to be on the bubble in your conference, then they'll say, well, let's go back and take a look at what you did. So it's a win-lose situation, but when you're a team like Hawaii, teams from this conference, you want to play as many good teams as you possibly can.
Well, they have an easy. Be fair about it too, though. Teams like to sign up to play Hawaii in November and December. You take your kids. That's like a nice reward to go to Hawaii and play in that holiday tournament they play every year down there.
Invitational.
So it's easy to when you send out the invites, people usually RSVP pretty happily. But you look at this team, and they're doing it with defense. Hawaii's played some great basketball defensively. 10 of the 23 opponents that they faced this year, they've held to 38% or less from the field. That's going to keep you in a lot of ball games, and obviously that's been Hawaii's bread and butter. But they got a big one here going against Cal Irvine, and we're taping on Thursday. Impressive. Cal Irvine played last night, and like we talked about in an earlier video with Brian, when you've got a big game coming up and you still manage to stay focused and don't look past the opponent in front of you, which they could have done last night very easily because they got first place on the line. They took care of business last night in grand fashion. Yeah,
I think it was Cal State Northridge is that where they played, and I believe that line moved from like 8.5 down to 6.5, so I think people were expecting Irvine to be pretty flat, and they kind of were for the first half. I think it might have been tied at half, and then in the second half they shot like 80% or something and just ran away with it. I'm kind of looking at this game against Hawaii. It is probably going to be the game for the regular season conference title. If they win, then it's theirs. If Hawaii wins, it's theirs because they will have beaten Irvine twice. They just played on the island about a week and a half ago or so. And it was a really strange game. And why Hawaii's defense is so good is they're really long and athletic, and they pressure the ball really well. They force a lot of turnovers. And Irvine usually is a team that I expect to be okay and handle the pressure fine. They didn't do very well, though. In the first half, they had more turnovers than field goals made, and Hawaii ended the first half making like 7 straight threes or something. So the game got out of hand by halftime. It was double digits, and Irvine just never really made a push in that second half to come back. And Hawaii's not a fantastic three-point shooting team, so it's kind of out of the ordinary. Coming back home with the title on the line, I expect Irvine to be short favorites, like 1.5, 2, and I'm going to be taking them for sure. I think it's a really good spot to play them, kind of the short revenge angle from their embarrassing loss in Hawaii. They looked really, really focused last night, as you mentioned, and they're going to be getting a Hawaii team that's traveling, from the island themselves. So I like the play on Irvine.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to make a difference in this one, but our colleague Mark Lawrence used to talk about a team when they win their 20th game. And that's the Hawaii situation. Yeah. So that it's obviously a very important game. I don't see the letdown here, but keep that in mind right now where a lot of these teams are going for their 20th, especially if it's a team that's not used to it. It's not a Duke, North Carolina. It's Hawaii. Hawaii didn't come into the season expecting to win 20 games, so they've accomplished that. So there'll be a lot of other teams in that regard also.
Another advantage to throw to you with Hawaii here, they're playing tonight where Cal Irvine played last night. You know, one of the angles I like is to go against the team the second game of that weekend, back-to-back road games, and especially when you play the Thursday to the Saturday. I think it's a tough situation for the teams, and Hawaii will be doing that. Cal Irvine will be home for 2 games, and they got an extra day's rest. So another edge to Cal Irvine. So agree with you there. Preston says to take Cal Irvine on Saturday, and that is his video best bet. And if you followed Preston last week, he delivered with those all-star specialty plays with the three-point contest and the slam dunk. So as we said, I joked with him, I don't break those ones down, but, he does, and he nailed them. So congrats to Preston on that. And if you want to check out Preston's weekend all-access package, head on over to wagertalk.com. That's the best way to do it. Get everything he has Thursday through Monday, just $69, and use that VIP10 coupon. Save yourself $10. We'll be back with more here at wagertalk.com.